My name is Carrie, and I was diagnosed with HIV in 2010, November. Some of my hobbies are pretty simple. They include being with my friends, doing whatever we like to do, like going out, see a movie, going dancing, being with my family, whether it's hanging out at my mom's or here at my house or doing whatever. But my most favorite thing to do is being with my daughter, doing all the things that we do together. I was diagnosed with HIV in November of 2010, and it was a pretty scary time in my life, and that is to say the least. It started in September. I've lost a lot of memory from that time, and they say you lose a lot of memory in a traumatic time of your life, and I don't know if it's because of the traumatics or because of what happened, but I just know that I've lost a lot of memory. What I do remember is being really, really tired at work and starting to get to where I didn't want to go to work. And I also remember having night sweats where I would get up and go take a bath, but I could barely get in the bathtub. I would have to crawl into the bathtub, and then I would crawl out of the bathtub and not even dry off, just go to the bed wet, soaking wet, because I was so hot. And I would even do that with taking showers as well. And I remember just laying in bed, or I would just sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep, and nobody knew what was wrong. I wouldn't answer my phone. I was just, the best word to describe it was lethargic. And a friend of mine took me to the doctor, and the doctor just thought I had the flu, so he gave me that shot in the hip, and they did it twice, and I was not getting better. And I just kept getting worse and worse. And a friend of mine came over one day, tried to get me to go to work, and I would not get up to go. And so after that, they didn't know what to do. So I was laying on the couch one night, and all of a sudden I started throwing up green stuff. And that really worried my friends. So they took me to the hospital. And the doctors, this is what my friends are telling me because I don't really remember. The doctors had told them if they wouldn't have brought me to the hospital, I would have died that night, because my blood pressure was 80/20 and my system was shutting down. All my organs were shutting down. What had happened was that I had a UTI, and it had turned septic, and my body was all shutting down. And I was in the ICU for about a week and a half, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, what was shutting my body down besides the sepsis, and they couldn't figure out how to fix it. So if you came to see me in the hospital, you had to wrap up and everything, because they knew my immune system was real bad, but they weren't really sure what was wrong. And I kept throwing up, and I couldn't eat anything, and it was really bad. So after a week and a half, the things that I do remember were awful. I remember them having to put a mask on my face that was just terrible. I begged them to take it off of me. It was not just a regular oxygen mask. It was a mask that was stuck to my face, and they had to have it on there for 3 hours. They were checking my oxygen levels, and it was terrible. It was one of the tests that they were taking to figure out what was wrong with me. And I remember looking at my mom, just begging her, please, Mama, let them take this off of me. And I'm a grown woman begging my mom to help me, because this was so uncomfortable. And they just didn't know what to do. And my mom felt so hopeless and helpless at the same time. And finally they put me in a regular room, and my kidney doctor came up to me and said, all we can come up with is that you have pancreatitis. And I just remember being so weak and looking at my mom and saying, Mom, all these tests and all this sickness, and it's just pancreatitis? That seems so simple. Well, I ended up having to go to Tulsa, which is about 2 hours from here, to a specialist for the pancreas, and a specialist for the liver, and a specialist for the kidneys. And to try to figure this all out. Well, within 2 weeks after they let me out, they put me back in the hospital because the medication they gave me for the pancreatitis, my body was rejecting, and I was just throwing it up, and I was getting more sick. And by the time I got back to the hospital, I had thrush covering my lips all the way back down through my throat. And as soon as they saw that, they called in the HIV doctor. And I knew in my mind that that was a sign of AIDS, but I didn't think that I had AIDS. And I just knew that I was really sick and I didn't know what was wrong. Well, they brought in a doctor, and he came in and he said, "Ma'am, I'm going to perform an HIV test on you, and I'll be back in the morning to let you know your results." And I said, "Okay." I didn't think twice about it. Well, that next morning on November 4th, I'm laying in my bed all by myself, and he walks in the room, and all of a sudden I just get really calm. And he said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you, you are HIV positive." And it was like, I was okay. Like, it was almost like I already knew. It was almost like God told me that I was going to be okay. And then my second thought was, oh my goodness, what about my daughter? Because I also knew that you can spread it by breast milk, and I breastfed my daughter. So I called my mom, and I told my mom, and she had her moment, and we pulled ourselves together, and my mom and my stepdad took my daughter to get tested, and I have to tell you, that was scarier than myself getting tested. Still, to this day, it makes me emotional because that was extremely scary. But my daughter came up negative, thank goodness, thank God, and she's okay. And she has been my rock ever since. She is my guiding light. She is everything that I need to stay alive today. She's my protector. I love her so very much. The next day was pretty horrific. That's when they brought in all the counselors and the person from the health department that you have to tell who all you've been with sexually, and if you've done drugs, if you've done shared needles with, you have to tell them. Something that you need to understand about me, my story is a lot different than someone who goes and gets tested regularly or gets tested by themselves. I got sick and I found out in the hospital. So this is different than someone that just goes and gets tested at the health department or goes and gets tested at a testing site, which is, I think, would be a lot easier than finding out this way. Because the next day, another doctor and a team of his interns came in. There was about 10 doctors that came in, and it was just me and my mom in my room. And it's 2 days before my 31st birthday. And they said, "Ma'am, we need to tell you something." And I was like, "Okay, well, what's more to tell me? You just told me I'm HIV positive." They said, "Ma'am, you have AIDS, and your viral load is extremely high. It's about 2.5 million. And what the doctors didn't understand was I didn't know what that meant at the time. And all he told me is that I needed to plan my funeral and I was going to die. And all I could think of was, oh my gosh, Mom, what am I going to do? You know, what? I don't want to die. I'm not ready. And so that was really, really scary. They went on to tell me that because I was so sick, they didn't think I was going to be able to get put on the medications that would be able to save my life. Well, little did they know, I'm a fighter, and I fought my way through it, and here I am today making this video. It took a few months, but I had to go to some specialists, like I said before, and I had to go see a kidney specialist and a liver specialist. My pancreatitis went away, and it was not chronic, so hopefully it will never come back. My kidneys, as of today, are good, and so is my liver. And with a lot of talking with my liver specialist, my HIV doctor finally put me on the medication in March of 2011, and he put me on Icentris and Truvada. Now, something you need to know about the medication is that when my HIV doctor did my testing of which HIV I was on, he also found some medication in my bloodstream. So there was one class, there's 4 classes that you can take of medications, and there's one class that I'm not allowed to take because I'm resistant to it, which means it won't work in my body. So that's one of the main reasons why they were afraid to give me the medication in the first place, besides the fact that I was so sick. And if you throw up the medicine, that also makes you resistant because you're sick. So they were like really afraid to give me the medication. So whenever I started getting better, they felt more comfortable. And that's another reason why today it's so important for me to take my medication on exactly the way I'm supposed to. Because if my body becomes resistant to that medication, then I'll have to try something else. And there will only be 2 other classes. And it makes my medications less and less easier for me to get and for me to stay healthy. If I were to be talking to somebody that just learned that they were HIV positive and they asked me if I would recommend them getting on the medication, I would say yes, absolutely. It would be almost ridiculous not to get on the medication. The medication is your lifeline. The medication is what keeps you alive. I truly believe that the medication is what keeps us alive. I believe that I would be dead today if it wasn't for this medication. I have played God. I have questioned God, and I found out the hard way. I've almost become in trouble with one of my medications that I'm on now because I quit taking it and was like, well, if God can cure me, then I'm just going to stop taking this. Well, I was wrong. And I'm thankful to the scientists that have created and invented these medications. And I believe that they are worth everything that they are, and they are needed. Yes, they're very expensive, but yes, they are available. Yes, they are needed. I also believe that many people will die if they do not stay available for us. And we need to get them more available for the people that need them. So if I was to be sitting in a room full of people who just became HIV positive, or those that are positive and afraid to say anything or don't want to do anything about it, I would say wake up and go get on your meds. There is no reason for somebody living with AIDS today. There's no reason for somebody to get that sick as I was, again, today. And I know that these medicines work. Yes, they have side effects. I don't have many that I can tell of. All the side effects, the only main side effects I think I can complain about is that my face looks like a 15-year-old kid again sometimes. I have acne. But other than that, I don't think that I have any side effects that I can think of. Maybe a few night sweats. I wake up every night. Not every night, but nothing that I can complain of. And all I have to say about the medications is that I'm grateful for them, and they keep me alive. So to all of you who are watching this and are questioning whether you should get on the medication, I'm telling you from somebody that almost died and was told that was not going to live, take the medication. Do it. Stay alive. And you will be very grateful. Thank you.